Comments on a Christian Moral Code of Life. Lawful and Unlawful Recreational Pastimes. In his introduction to the devout life, St. Francis de Sales instructs his readers on pastimes and recreation. Quote, "It is necessary sometimes to relax our minds as well as our bodies by some kind of recreation. St. John the Evangelist, as Cassian relates, amusing himself one day with a partridge on his hand, was asked by the huntsman how such a man as he could spend his time in so unprofitable a manner. To whom St. John replied, 'Why dost thou not carry thy bow always bent?' 'Because,' answered the huntsman, 'were it always bent, I fear it would lose its spring and become useless.' 'Be not surprised, then,' replied the apostle, 'that I should sometimes remit a little of my close application and attention of mind to enjoy some little recreation, that I may afterwards employ myself more fervently in divine contemplation.' It is doubtless a defect to be so rigorous and austere, as neither to be willing to take any recreation ourselves, nor allow it to others. To take the air, to walk, to entertain ourselves with cheerful and friendly conversations, to play on the lute or any other instrument, to sing to music, or to go hunting, are recreations so innocent, that proper use of them needs only common prudence, which gives to everything its due order, time, place, and measure. Those games in which the gain serves as a reward for the dexterity and industry of the body or of the mind, such as tennis ball, pall mall, running at the ring, cheese, and backgammon, are recreations in themselves good and lawful, provided excess, either in time employed in them or in the sum that is played for, be avoided. If too much time is spent in them, they are no longer an amusement but an occupation, in which neither the mind nor the body is refreshed, but on the contrary stupefied and oppressed. Above all, take particular care not to set your affections upon these amusements. However innocent any recreation may be, when we set our hearts upon it, it becomes vicious. I do not say that you must take no pleasure while at play, for then it would be no recreation. Do not be too eager for it. St. Francis de Sales, in a further chapter of this work, describes those pastimes which should be classified as unlawful and or dangerous. However, the model of parish priests and their patron, St. John Marie Vianney, demonstrated to us in his parish work at Ars an example of a very dangerous pastime, dancing. Many in Ars were so unable to witness the wretched condition to which this subjection to their passions had brought them, that they loudly proclaimed their innocence, and consequently the lawfulness of this form of recreation. St. John Vianney felt it incumbent on him to enlighten their consciences. The author of the book on the life of this saint, Abbe Francis Trochu, wrote, quote, "A girl who loves dancing until it becomes a passion is unable to relish pure and simple pleasures. She has no true Christian spirit. If her parents approve of her conduct, their household cannot be one in which the practices of a devout life are held in honor. Before they can become truly religious, such persons must begin by renouncing their worldly ideas and habits of life. They who wish to avoid sin must flee from the occasion of sin." These were the principles from which the Cure de Ars started when he entered upon his campaign, and he never swerved from the road on which he had thus set out. Though he condemned balls because of the dances that accompany them, gentle St. Francis de Sales had put on gloves when handling this subject. St. John Marie Vianney, who in the end rivaled the Bishop of Geneva in meekness, refused to put on gloves because he deemed the precaution unnecessary. He was pitiless. Sin and the occasion of sin were joined together in common reprobation. But then, he was so far-seeing. Together with the dance, he fought the impure passions which it fosters. As regards dances, resistance was obstinate, and victory was slow in coming. Again and again, during 10 long years, Marie Vianney had to return to the charge. "There is not a commandment of God," he explained, "which dancing does not cause men to break." Mothers may indeed say, "Oh, I keep an eye on my daughters." You keep an eye on their dress, you cannot keep a guard over their heart. Go, you wicked parents, go down to hell, where the wrath of God awaits you, because of your conduct when you gave free scope to your children. Go. It will not be long before they join you, seeing that you show them the way so well. Then you will see whether your pastor was right in forbidding those hellish amusements. My God, is it possible to be purblind to the extent of believing that there is no harm in the dance, whereas it is the rope by which the devil drags the greatest number of souls into the abyss of hell? The concern expressed by Archbishop Santos of Manila, as quoted above, is but an echo of the principles of St. John Vianney. It is not enough to say that our times are different than those of the Cure de Ars. As the Archbishop remarked in the same pastoral letter as cited above, quote, "This obviously implies that the pagan atmosphere we breathe, through the powerful means of broadcasting and publicizing immoral customs and fashions, has affected harmfully our Christian heritage and traditions and mentality, and the Church is bound to dispel such confusion and intolerable mixture of pagan traits on our Catholic life by means of definite norms and standards concerning Christian propriety and decorum in dress, behavior, customs, and amusements. The very fact of the freer relationships which are tolerated in our environments, far from excusing submission to the pagan styles of the day, merely emphasizes the greater obligation that Christians and Catholics have to resist these pagan and materialistic trends. It simply is not true to human nature tainted by original sin to say, as some do, that one can become used to anything in matters of dress, or to say, to the pure all things are pure. Lest there be any confusion about what is and is not permissible as a recreational pastime, the Philippine Hierarchy issued an appendix with the pastoral letter of Archbishop Santos, a directive entitled Modesty and Recreations. Number 1. Recreational activities may be classified into 3 types: fully acceptable, merely tolerable, and totally inadmissible. Fully acceptable is when nothing against modesty is involved in them. Merely tolerable is when something slightly objectionable to modesty is involved in them. And totally inadmissible when something seriously objectionable to modesty is involved in them. Number 2. Recreational activities fully acceptable may be encouraged and frequented with due moderation and supervision to prevent any excess or abuse, as long as circumstances of place, well lighted, where only trustworthy persons may be admitted, etc., time, not for long hours or until late night, and company, for mixed groups, may not render them merely tolerable or totally inadmissible. Number 3. Merely tolerable recreational activities should not be encouraged nor frequented. Occasionally they may prudently be allowed for some justifying reason, superior orders, social pressures, special occasions, etc., when the due moderation and supervision, circumstances of place, time, and company may countenance them. Number 4. Recreational activities of fully acceptable type and with due moderation and supervision, when undertaken by mixed group boys and girls, A, of the same home and family circle, remain fully acceptable among teenagers of the same Catholic school or of well-known trustworthy families, and organizations become merely tolerable. C, among teenagers not related as above, become generally inadmissible, in some particular instances merely tolerable. D, among youth in the college level or around 18 years of age, related as above, may be fully acceptable, if not related, merely intolerable. Number 5. About dancing. A. Fully acceptable are the folk dances that preserve the traditional sense of modesty and propriety with no mutual holding of partners, aside from some occasional or respectful holding of hands. B. Merely tolerable are certain dances with some mutual holding of partners, though without bodily contact, embrace, or suggestive gestures. C. Totally inadmissible are all kinds of close embrace dancing and also some types of separate but suggestive dancing where gestures and attitudes, either in themselves or because of the dance's attire, are immodest or outright indecent. D. Modern dances, which are embraced, according to most moral theologians, either sinful or at least risky for the majority of souls, either in themselves or because of their manner of execution. The Philippine hierarchy is against all immoral dances. Hence, participation in them is inadmissible. E. Our directors and officers shall not allow the holding of dances under the sponsorship of the association on occasion of any festival or celebration, or on the pretext of raising needed funds. Nor shall the association invite Catholic families to dances to be held during the day or at night, nor promote or foster them, even though such dances might be organized by laymen for the subsidy of some pious works or for any other pious purposes. Obviously, the funds raised through modern dances are either the price of sin or of risking one's purity. The Philippine hierarchy urges modesty in dress and recommends chaperoning for girls. In attending dances, social halls, etc., that may be acceptable or tolerable, but even these, when publicly held during Lent or Advent, are to be discountenanced. Number 6. About dating, especially steady dating and movie dating. A. In the sense of going together alone in secluded places or not in full daylight is totally inadmissible for all. B. Even out of such circumstances, going together for social diversion in an exclusive friendship is totally inadmissible for teenagers or children. C. Only at an age when company keeping and consequently marriage in a near future, say 6 months or a year, may be seriously contemplated by both parties concerned, it may be acceptable with due moderation, and if possible with a chaperone, preferably with some members of the family. 7. Our girls and ladies must be dissuaded from worldly amusements, which are sometimes publicly or privately held to the detriment of Christian modesty. Beauty and popularity contests, box socials, and fashion shows foster vanity, and whatever funds are derived from them are the price of vanity. 8. Mixed bathing in beaches or other swimming resorts with persons not of the same family is inadmissible. Going to the movies should be, as far as possible, directed by Catholic movie guides. Condemned films should be boycotted, indecent magazines and pictures destroyed if possible, comics and other reading materials carefully selected. The faithful are exhorted to shun all places and modes of entertainment which offend Christian modesty. Number 9. Recreational activities of fully acceptable type, as long as other circumstances may not render them merely tolerable or totally inadmissible, are, besides athletic games and track and field events, etc., exclusively for men, the following. A. Party games such as brain testers, alphabet games, games for the clever, guessing games, stunts and gags, white magic, hilarious games, tag games, goal games, races, relays, ping pong, badminton, billiards, bowling, skating, volleyball, tennis, golf, handball, etc. B. Parlor games, gambling excluded, such as cards, dice, chess, checkers, dominoes, etc. C. Organizing, rehearsing, staging, or attending shows, plays, concerts, games, glee clubs, choirs, programs, club meetings, town fiestas, informal debates, meetings of organizations, etc. D. Excursions, picnics, familiar parties, eating parties, walks, hiking, and, for not mixed groups, camping, car rides, boat rides, swimming, etc. E. Playing the piano or other instruments or records, discriminate listening to the radio or watching of television or good movies, picture taking, singing, reading good literature, cultivating art skills, hobbies, letter writing, etc. We should strive to offer and substitute cheerful and wholesome recreations for dangerous and unhealthy pastimes. Following the Apostles' advice, rejoice in the Lord always. Again I say rejoice. Let your modesty be known to all men. The Lord is nigh. The rules of right conduct of lawful and unlawful pastimes were clearly explained years ago by the Philippine hierarchy. Of particular concern to some are the statements made concerning dancing as well as dating. Of dancing, we have little more to say than what is already mentioned above. As regards dating and preparation for marriage, there will be further comments below. However, earlier this century, legislature came forth from Rome concerning certain practices taking place in the United States that were considered by the Sacred Council of the Consistory to be inconsistent with good Catholic living and the right conduct of the clergy. In a decree dated March 31st, 1916, the Council remarked, "The century having finished in the United States of North America, the practices had begun of calling together Catholic families to dances, which lasted through many hours of the night, with banquets and other soleties. The nature and cause of this affair was given, namely that Catholics might know each other and be united by the bonds of love and charity, and at the same time that aid might be obtained for this and that pious work. Those who were accustomed to be appointed to preside over these gatherings were the chairmen of pious works, knowing which the eminent fathers of the consistory have decreed to forbid any priest, whether secular or regular, from promoting and fostering the mentioned dances, even if for the lifting and aid of pious works, or to any other pious end whatever, and to forbid all clerics from being present at these dances if perchance they are promoted by laymen." The Sacred Council of the Consistory answered a query on this matter on December 10, 1917, to a certain ordinary in the United States of America, asking whether dances, concerning which the decree of the Sacred Council of the Consistory, March 31st, 1916, and which this same sacred congregation prescribed, may be sometimes lawful or not included in the condemnation, if they are done in the daytime hours, or only in the first hours of the night, nor protracted exceedingly, or even if they are done without banquets, or in the method which is usually called commonly picnic. The sacred congregation of this consistory, of having considered the matter, reckoned that it must be answered. It is to be included in the condemnation, and therefore to prohibit all clerics from promoting and fostering them, even in the mentioned accessory circumstances, and if they are promoted by others, to prohibit them from being present. The Third Plenary Council of Baltimore decreed in like manner. In many places, money for pious uses, not at all demanded, is accustomed to be gotten by certain gatherings, which became a cause of alluring souls, and which are commonly called picnics, excursions, or some like name. But since gatherings of this kind, especially near wealthy and populous cities, often turn out to be schools of sin and scandal, it is doubted by devout and prudent men whether they are to be tolerated and more or wholly prohibited. This far-seeing mind of the same fathers, having weighed all things seriously, decreed that they cannot be permitted unless all possible caution is employed. Therefore, in order that their prudent counsel might obtain the desired end, also more easily to shut the way to the evils and scandals which are to be feared, we set down that it is never lawful to have gatherings of this sort at night time, nor on Sundays, feast or fast days, and not with the use of intoxicating liquors, wine, and beer included. We command also that priests should take care to remove altogether that abuse in which banquets are prepared together with dances to promote pious works. Comments on a Christian moral code of life. Lawful and unlawful recreational pastimes.